Chain together methods like this is pretty challenging, especially with having to combine the fact that we're only returning the first names of artists whose first names begin with the letter J. But if you took a look at what we did last week, you'll remember that we can just chain filter and map together. And we usually put filter first, and that can let us get exactly what we want pretty easily. So let's try first name J to equals names filter. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to use the implicit return name, just like above. The reason that I'm putting filter first is I just want to kind of reduce the array down to just names that begin with J. That way, when I chain my call to map out here, map doesn't have to do a ton of work. So let's go ahead and let's just do name 0, just like above, is strictly equal to J. And so there we go. So just like above, we know that this call right here, excuse the train, will only return an array full of names that begin with J. Well then, if I want to just create an array of first names, let's take a look up here. Remember, this is how we got first names before, so then let's go ahead and do name.split. And again, we're going to use the space as a delimiter. 0. So go ahead and take a look at this. And let me explain what I'm doing here. So first I call filter on my names array. I'm filtering through, checking to see if the first letter of each name I iterate through in the array begins with J. If it does, I make it a part of the new array that this call to filter returns. If not, it doesn't get passed into the new array. Then I chain that with a call to map. So my call to filter returns a new array, and it's only going to have names that begin with J in it. When I chain a method like this, the array returned by filter automatically gets passed to map. So don't worry, there's no real black magic in that, and it should make pretty intuitive sense that your call to filter is just going to pass this on to the next method that is chained up. And then, again, I'm going to iterate through each name in the array, and I'm going to take that name, and I'm going to call split, which is a string method on it, using a blank space as a delimiter. And the call to split is going to return an array where the first entry is the first name, just before the blank space, and the second entry is the last name, which is after the blank space. And then, of course, if I want the first name, since it's the first entry in the array returned by the call to split, I just access the 0th, or the first element of that array. Let's go ahead and see this thing in action. First name J. All right. Let's clear that out. Again, let's go node, main.js. Bam! There we go. So instead of John Lennon and Jimi Hendrix, I don't just have John and Jimmy. So if that seemed really challenging to you, go ahead, take a minute, rewind the video, rewatch it if you have to, but just study that, look closely, and try to get the idea that by calling filter and then chaining map after it, filter knows to pass its result to map, and that we can really just chain these simple arrow function expressions that we pass as arguments to each of these given methods to accomplish what is a pretty complex parsing result.